Did it really take us 2.5 years to give Cadance a Friends Forever comic? Coming in at the very end of June, for some reason, the 30th issue of Friends Forever pairs Twilight with Cadance in the latter's first starring role in the series. When Twilight comes to the Crystal Empire to witness the dedication of the court, she notices that Cadance isn't quite herself and tries to help her through what's ailing her. So what's good? One of the biggest criticisms of Cadance as a character is that she's just there. Even as someone who likes her character, I have to admit that I like her more for her potential than for what she's actually done in the series proper. Even in the comics, which have done more for her than the show has, she still gets the short end of the stick. Nay, anything elevated Shining's character way more than it did hers, and while Siege of the Crystal Empire did bring some interesting developments about her to the table, they, along with the majority of that arc's plotlines, ultimately went nowhere. This comic approaches the problem head-on and consistently keeps its focus on it, with each encounter that Cadance has chipping away at her self-worth, which is something that is oddly funny and sad at the same time. Moments like the costume booth scene and even the comic's cover art make for some great meta humor, and I got some good laughs, but then I see how Cadance is affected by it and I start to feel for her a little bit. Even when she puts herself back together, her self-doubt is only reinforced and it makes her feel worse. It's a struggle that makes for one of the more interesting conflicts in the series, and certain moments like when Cadance appears in front of her subjects in tears makes me wonder what the story would be like as a multi-parter in the main series. Twilight even mentioned that she was worried about Cadance possibly renouncing the throne, so what if that did happen? I can't follow this trail of crumbs too far though, as I have to judge the comic for what it is. As for Twilight, when this comic was originally announced, I was a little disappointed that she was chosen as the partner for Cadance. Last year, when I did my top 5 potential Friends Forever pairs video, I said that if Cadance were to be in a Friends Forever issue, I would have liked to see her paired with someone other than Twilight or Shining in order to explore other relationship dynamics. But with the direction that this story went with, Twilight was honestly the best choice this time around. The story dealt with Cadance going through an identity crisis, and since Twilight went through her own identity crisis in season 4, she was the perfect character to help Cadance overcome hers. If there was ever a time to pair them up again, this was it. So what's not so good? As I said before, this is one of the most interesting conflicts in the Friends Forever series. The resolution to that conflict, however, is this issue's main weakness. The story tries to say that Cadance's importance is that her love for her empire and her subjects is what brings light to their day. It's a contagious influence that inspires others to be the best that they can be, and with this being an empire of ponies that spent a long time under a king that stripped them of their love for themselves and each other, Cadance is a ruler that they need. Okay, I can kinda get behind that, but the problem is that Twilight just tells Cadance all this. There's barely anything that shows how important Cadance is. The only thing that presents any semblance of showing over telling is that the Crystal Heart gets darker, and that would only have the potential of making Cadance feel objectified since it equates her to a living battery. The resolution didn't leave me feeling convinced that she truly feels more important, because Twilight doesn't do much outside of saying, "Yes, Cadance, you are important," and that's kinda disappointing because I loved everything leading up to this. As for minor issues, the way Cadance is drawn in some panels bothers me a bit. I know that the way Cadance's hair is modeled makes for some weird viewing angles, but that's on a Flash puppet, and even when you disregard that, there are some panels that make weird choices with her mane and body poses. For example, this one. It's proportionally correct, but the angle makes Cadance look like a big blob. Overall, Friends Forever number 30 was a good comic whose ending kept it from being a great one. The conflict was still fun to watch even if the resolution doesn't come close to doing it justice. Next month, Rainbow Dash goes on a quest with a character that we haven't seen in a significant role since season 1. This should be interesting. So what did you think of Friends Forever number 30? Swarm that comment section below or bug me on social media, and consider supporting me through Patreon or PayPal art commissions. Until next time, keep it sketchy, folks.